thought it was 11. I think it, Michelle and I tried to find a time.
Okay.
11.
But who's counting?
It's Karen.
All right, Mike, you want to cue up the mics?
I will bring you back up.
Thank you, sir. That sounds like feedback.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Okay.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for coming to this August 11th Board of Trustees meeting. If you all please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, so our first item of business is approval of minutes from July 14th, 2026. Did everyone get a chance to review the minutes?
Yes.
Can I get a motion to approve? Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Second item of business is approval of warrant. Do you have the... So the big items on here were $90,000 for health insurance and $20,000 to the village engineer and $15K to the water company.
I move that we approve warrant number 052826 in the amount of $8,088.60 and warrant number 081126 in the amount of $168,979.45 for a grand total of $177,068.05.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Okay, next is department reports. Chief? It's a longer walk from the new corner.
It's a big room.
Good evening, Mayor and Board. For the month of July, there was 119 summonses issued, 864 incident reports were completed, 133 were in Grandview, the remaining 731 here in Piermont. And the only thing the officers, you'll see over the next month or two, stop DWI funds are being used. There'll be extra patrols on weekends, strictly for DWI enforcement. So you'll see probably 2 or 3 extra cars over the weekend. Thank you.
Excellent.
Chief, I have a question for you. How are we doing with the old noise complaints for some of the usual suspects?
They've, over the last
Seems to
2
have
weeks, yeah,
improved.
we've only received 1 or 2 since the last meeting. So they've been forwarded to the building department, so they have since calmed down greatly.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Absolutely.
I experience the same thing
Yes.
when I drive by. Thank you, Chief.
You're welcome.
Next, we have Charlie.
I got good news. One of the houses on Tweed, after I think 6 or 7 years, is finally getting sold, and I can CO it now. I think his building permits ended up being in excess of almost $60,000 because there were so many late fees involved with it. And then he's going to finish up the other one, and we can get that one finished up.
That's up on Tweed. You're talking
Yep, on Tweed, the 2 houses.
Was it 201, was it?
199 and 201, yes. And then ration stop work orders for unlicensed guys, 2 plumbers, 1 contract in the last 3 days. Other than that, everything's moving along pretty good.
Excellent. Thank you.
Okay, and, one other thing. Otto's gave me a detailed report. I spoke with you last week. I sent him a letter. He sent me back a detailed report just this afternoon. I'll forward it to you guys. It explains his parking, has a full seating plan for his restaurant, and everything else. It shows everything.
Excellent.
So he did that. That's it.
Thank you. And then, Dan, do you have a parks report?
No report.
No report. I love that. All right. Moving on, we have old business. Jennifer, do you have any old business?
No old business.
Does anyone have any old business?
No.
Okay, moving on. New business. Jennifer, do you have any new business?
I do not have any new business.
Oh, We're going to have to slow things down here a little bit. Does anyone have any new business?
Gotta kill 8 minutes.
Okay, moving on, we've got public comment next. Has anyone signed up for public comment? Yeah, we got to wait till 7:10 to do it here.
Right.
Thank you. We have I'm sorry, I can't make out the name, but 486 Piermont Avenue?
Anybody sign up for public comment?
Okay, please come forward. I just can't make out your name from this penmanship. Will you come forward to the podium and identify yourself, please?
Oh gosh, I've never done this before. Officer, from the 140 warrants that you got on the 4th of July, how do you collect a warrant? I mean, how does it work? I mean, when you charge somebody, you give them a warrant, and how does that have to go through a court proceedings for every one of those? Sorry, I don't really. I'm from England, and I don't really understand what a warrant is.
It's a criminal warrant, not criminal justice.
Okay, but so when you issue one, do you get paid for it? Is it like a parking ticket, and you can just sort of scan it to your phone and collect the money straight away, or does it go through a judicial process?
Chief, maybe I can guide you. I'm the village attorney. Hi. Could you describe the warrant that you're discussing?
So
like, what do you mean, like a parking ticket?
Yeah, so if one of the warrants that they issued over the 4th of July...
Like a parking ticket?
Like a parking ticket.
Yeah, be specific, a parking ticket.
Or running a red light or something like that.
It's different.
Oh.
Okay. So a parking ticket, correct me if I'm wrong, Chief, a parking ticket is something you can pay right at the village clerk's office. If you get a parking ticket, you can walk in, if the village clerk's office is open, you can go in and pay your parking ticket. You do not have to appear in front of a judge. If you get a moving violation, your car is stopped while driving, that's a moving violation, that's a uniform traffic ticket, and that you could plead guilty by mail and accept the consequences, or if you wish to negotiate it or dispute it, you have to appear in front of a judge.
Gotcha.
Okay?
So there's no sort of, there's no incident where you could just sort of say, you know, you've run a red light, you know, you can either pay $50 now, or you can pay $100 now, or you can go through the court system.
If you, let's say you run a red light, you could plead guilty on the back of the ticket, not the time.
Yeah, but can the policeman, has the policeman got the right to say, look, you've run a red light, there's $50 to here, you just tap on the screen there?
No.
We do not have any system like that.
No, there's nothing like that exists.
Well, it does in Europe.
Not here.
But it doesn't.
No, it does in Europe, but I'm just saying. But,
Not
you
for
know.
moving violations, no.
No, but it would be easier, wouldn't it?
Well, and just for clarification, what's your first name, sir?
Adam, yes.
You can propose that to the Governor Hochul. It's a New York State law, so.
Okay, all right, okay. I had another question.
So it's up to the mayor.
Okay.
I mean, we haven't
Let's see
exceeded
what the
3
question
minutes
is.
yet.
Let's see what the question is.
What kind of question is it?
Well, yeah, well, for the plumbers and the electricians that work in the town, how are they regulated?
Through the county of Rockland.
Through the
It's a
county-
separate municipality.
Okay.
There's many towns and villages within the county of Rockland. They all have their own jurisdictions. The county of Rockland government oversees and administrates, regulates, licenses plumbers. I'm not sure about plumbers, definitely electricians.
Plumbers, electricians, mechanical,
Thank you.
carpenters, everybody has to be licensed for residential. Commercial and switches, we're just all the mechanical. Plumbing and electricians have to be licensed, but the carpenters and painters don't. So there's 2 categories. but
So the carpenters-
plumbers, electricians, and mechanical always have to be licensed for everything.
Right, okay.
And we also have our own process of obtaining a permit in the Village of Piermont. If you want to do work and it's touching the code, you may require a permit. And
Yes.
that permit would be
Yeah.
obtained from our building
It's a
department.
building
Okay.
permit. It's
Okay,
not
fine.
a license, but it's up.
Time is up.
Time's up. And
It is, yeah.
I'll defer to the mayor. It's-
Yeah, that was my time up. Okay, thanks, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, sure, come forward. Come
And
forward.
I think Kelly wants to sign it too.
Okay, we can do that as well. What's your name and address, please, sir?
Keith Dennis. I'm the newly elected pastor at Macedonia Baptist Church, 405 Piermont Avenue. I'm here today to not only introduce myself, but to say thank you to Mayor Mitchell and those who assisted us in my installation service. That went very well. And I come with a heart of gratitude, especially for Officer Young, who really showed Piermont in a good light. He was very, very instrumental with over 300-something people here. He showed himself very viable. He went over and beyond his duties as a police officer, and I want to say thank you to him, as well as all those who placed an integral role in making sure that was successful. But also I'm here because right there on Paradise Avenue, where they have a no parking sign right on the side of the church. And I know, I heard before I got here that sign that just newly was put up there. And during our services, we kind of limited with parking. And I know that sign was just there. I don't know why they put it there, but I'm here to ask if we could use that area for parking as well. Right there on the side of the church on Paradise Avenue.
Well, so I don't believe there's been a newly installed no parking signs. There may have been an old sign that was replaced, but our process in Piermont for establishing a no parking zone, we're going to go through a public hearing to do it tonight. We have to actually add it to our inventory before a sign can be set up, and the inventory's been relatively static. I think this is the first no parking that we're going to add in like the last 5 years. So it may have been that there was an old sign that had been replaced or something like that, and people just had been in the habit of parking there and unaware that it was no parking. But Paradise Ave is very narrow, and there is traffic coming in and out of the landing in both directions on Paradise Ave throughout the day, every day, including Sunday. So I think the reason why it's no parking there is to make sure that people don't have to be on the other side of the double yellow line when they get stuck at the traffic light, because that means that traffic that's trying to come inbound is going to crash into them. So there is a certain required minimum distance from a stop line, from any kind of a traffic light, that has to be no parking. I don't know off the top of my head how many feet that is or exactly how it relates to this location, but I'm happy to go and take a look at it with the chief and see if there's some adjustment that can be made. It's just we can't create a situation where you're going to create a traffic hazard as a result of having this parking at that location.
Right. Also, one last thing I just wanted to mention, that Macedonia Baptist Church is, we want to be work with this town as much as possible, so we open to anything you may need us for. We're here for you. Okay, and I want to say thank you once again, for how you were very instrumental in making sure the installation service went very well. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you and welcome.
Thank you. Congratulations on the installation.
Okay, Kelly, do you want to talk about the little bookhouse? What's your street number on Hudson?
271 Hudson Terrace.
271, thank you.
Kelly Ruby. And good evening. We've had, I sent an email in, I don't know if it got forwarded around. There's a free little library that was donated by Barbara Schuland. I believe it was 2022 now. The board has voted on it, I believe twice approving it. But now that it's come back from Peter, it looks slightly different than we had originally proposed it as. So you guys saw the picture. The proposed area was initially by the road facing Hudson Terrace, and I believe that Mike had suggested that we relocate it over by the path, so that it's not blocking that entrance, which is a sort of a complicated entrance to the community center. And is there anything else that I can answer. Are you guys familiar with what free little libraries
Yes.
are?
Yeah.
And they're fantastic, and I'm glad that we'll have one back in circulation. Do you need any assistance from the DPW
From
to
the
get this done?
DPW, we will need, I think, a pole installed. At that height over by the path, it would be the shorter, so it would probably be around 4 feet. And I would imagine, somewhere pretty accessible to the path there.
Sure.
Maybe not right next to the garbage can.
I will, does anyone have any concerns or objections to doing this? I'm happy to go talk to Tommy and ask him to go and take care of that.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Very well.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kelly.
And thank you for getting us past 7:10, because
Yes.
now we can move on to our next item. So, item number 7, the 7:10 PM public hearing to add a resident of the Village of Grandview on Hudson as a non-voting participant of the Piermont Transportation and Parking Commission. So, does someone want to make a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
One of you moved it, you seconded it,
Second.
all in favor? Aye.
So wait, Michael, who seconded?
No, I don't
I
Jeff.
second.
Jeff seconded?
And Mark made the motion.
Did anyone sign up for public hearing?
Yes.
that was you.
Sorry.
Adam Lockhart again.
Oh, me again, all right.
Do you have a comment on the public hearing item?
No, sorry, I didn't understand those things.
That's fair.
That's okay.
Does anyone like to make a comment on the public hearing to add a resident of the Village of Grandview? Hearing none, someone like to make a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so we had our hearing, now we have our action. Just for a little bit of background, the context for this is we recently updated our contract with the Village of Grandview to provide police services. And in the process of updating that contract, we identified that it would be good to have a way for residents of Grandview to be represented in conversations that we're having about transportation as them being part of our greater corridor here and our police force worrying about the traffic safety for both communities. So this is something that we agreed to in our contract renewal with them, and we just said that it's going to take us a bit of time to do it because we have to legislate it. So this evening, what we're doing is adding a non-voting participant to the Transportation Parking Commission so that they have a venue where they can share concerns from Grandview residents with our police, with our DPW, and with the committee at large. So would someone like to make a motion to adopt that amendment? Well, do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Great, okay, that's done. Item number 8, 7:15. Am I like back ahead of schedule here?
7:06.
No, we're right on, we're right
Right on
on. 7:15, public hearing to add a no parking zone south side of Verdun Avenue from Rockland Road east to the fire zone for the hydrant at 300-302 Verdun Avenue. So would someone like to make a motion to open?
Jennifer has a comment.
Well, first we got to open the public hearing. Would someone like to make a motion to open the
Sure,
public
so
hearing?
moved.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay. Do we have comments for the public hearing? John Vandenhoek.
I'm also correcting the spelling of Verdun Avenue, which is misspelled in.
That's a fair point. The things you find when you review the existing code.
I'm John Vandenover, 361 Verdun Avenue. I'm also pastor at the Piermont Reformed Church, same address. Before I say anything else, I want to say that everything nice that Pastor Dennis said about the village officials and the police, I want to say it twice. So we are also very grateful for all your service. I'm here tonight to speak against this, this proposed no parking for a couple of reasons. Number one, while most Sundays we have enough parking at Piermont Reformed Church in our parking lot and a little bit in front of the church to handle our usual number of attendees, it happens not infrequently that we will have something like a funeral or a wedding where we have more people who come. And in those situations, I understand that Verdun Avenue is tight. It always has been. I've been here for 38 years. Somehow or other, it seems like it's getting more difficult for people to share the road, but I don't see any easy solution other than courtesy and patience with each other. And if we have 2 or 3 fewer parking spaces on Verdun Avenue, it's simply going to drive the parking overflow on up Fredon Avenue, and it's going to come up someplace else instead. I think I probably walk, bike, and drive on that section of Fredon Avenue as much as anybody in the village, and I really don't see any problems. Most of the time, there's nobody parked there. Lenny, who owns 302, stops there with his pickup truck once in a while for an hour or two to do some work on the house. Jimmy parks the mail truck there for 20 minutes in the morning. Most of the time, it's just not used that much. And while I am no expert on traffic flow, I think we might have as much trouble being caused by the ambiguous question of who has the right-of-way at a two-way stop than we do from the parking spaces. And I know it's not on your agenda, but I would encourage the board to reconsider that extra stop sign where people don't know who has the right-of-way, the one going forward, the one with the stop sign, the one with the left turn. People, fortunately, seem to be very cautious as they try to figure out who's going to go next. But that, I think, may be causing more of a problem at that corner than the occasional vehicle that's parked there. If everybody goes out slowly, whether there's a stop sign there or not, and looks carefully for traffic coming, it's always been fine. So that's why I speak against this proposed change.
Thank you.
Pastor, I have a question. I don't expect you to give me an exact number because you can't, but how often would you need the overflow parking for funerals and weddings and events like that?
We hope never.
But weddings, then.
Well,
General events.
in the last year, I think we've had just 3. And there was one where, unfortunately, I think the chief could talk to this, totally unbeknownst to me, people were so befuddled about where to park that people were parking in the traffic lane, and that was admittedly a disaster. And the chief asked that we would contact them in the future whenever we would have an event like that where we anticipated overflow, and we have done that. Sometimes it's impossible to know whether what we need is actually a closure and a redirection of traffic, or simply somebody to keep an eye to make sure there are no fist fights. But we have adopted that as our practice now for those usually Saturdays. It could be a weekday as well, but Saturdays is when obviously it's going to be a big problem. We try to avoid a Saturday funeral for those reasons too, because of how traffic has been in Piermont lately.
So I would like to respond to a couple of your comments, and I think that you're raising valid concerns. Certainly, we have not enough parking at large in the Village of Piermont. When there's events like that, every parking space counts. Just for context, you may not have been aware, we did establish a Transportation and Parking Commission this year, and this was one of the first things that we tasked them with analyzing. And my request to them for analysis did specifically include, what about if we have no parking here, can we get rid of the stop sign? Because the initial point of the stop sign was to make it safer at an intersection where people were getting over on the other side of the double yellow line. From what the police department has reported back to us, we have seen a noticeable reduction in average speed having the stop sign there. So when it was discussed at the Transportation and Parking Commission, the conversation was, we didn't fix the problem of having a limited sight line once you pass that intersection, whether you're coming down Rockland Road or traveling east on Verdun, by putting a stop sign in there, and we still have a problem a little further down the road. If we made this no parking section so that there was never a vehicle parked on the right curb blocking the line of sight to oncoming traffic, that would be better, but we should leave the stop sign too. So that was not my initial inclination. I also thought, hey, if we fix the safety issue, then we don't need to worry about having a stop sign there. And it is somewhat confusing, also especially because even if you really know New York State traffic law, at a two-way stop sign, the person making a right-hand turn is a right-of-way. So people coming down Rockland Road.
Excuse me, the
two
right-hand
vehicles-
turns, Mr. Mayor?
Two people come to an intersection with a stop sign on both sides. The person making the right-hand turn has the right-of-way. They go before the person
I
driving
was
straight.
talking about the left-hand turn.
Who's making a left-hand turn?
The people going southwest on Verdun,
Making left up
making
Rockland
left
Road.
up Rockland Road.
They're the ones confused about the stop sign.
And the
Okay.
people who are at the stop sign who may think that the other person coming toward them is making a left turn signal under normal circumstances, the person without the stop sign, and they may not even be aware that there's not a stop sign on the other side. But if you're coming and everything else is equal, the left turn never has the right of way.
If I may, that has been a centuries-old nightmare problem. Was it Valentine and Union?
Yep. That's,
And I can name
that's the
2 or
house I
3
grew up
others.
in.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think they're valid concerns. I haven't considered the left turn scenario, but I see what you're talking about. They have no traffic control device at all, so they ought to have the right of way if somebody stops at a stop sign. But if somebody stopped and then is proceeding through the intersection, now the left turn is supposed to yield to the person proceeding through the intersection. And that could be tricky. I'm not saying this is gonna fix all of our problems. My only point is that I think that establishing this no parking zone at the recommendation of the Transportation and Parking Commission will make fewer incidents where we have cars that cross the double yellow line when heading east on Verdun and then encounter somebody who's traveling west on Verdun. We have had accidents, including with the post office vehicle at that location, and having cars parked there is a contributing factor. It's not a huge number of spaces, because there's already a fire hydrant there with a no parking zone. So we're really just doing like the couple of feet. You can't have any parking right up to the intersection, so there's already a couple of feet from the intersection you shouldn't park. Then there's a few feet between that and when the fire zone starts. That's what we're looking at.
Understood, Mr. Mayor. Can I, just to ask a question, in terms of accidents per number of cars in that section, are there a larger number of accidents at that corner than there are on Main Street in front of the Village Hall?
I don't think we have complex enough statistics to do any real statistical analysis on it. Anecdotally, yes. I've seen several accidents right at that location, including with the police vehicle, and often with bicyclists coming down off Rockland Road.
All right, I have not seen those. If I may make one more point with respect, parked cars slow down traffic flow.
They can. They should make traffic flow stop to yield to oncoming traffic
absolutely.
if there isn't room to
And
go.
Mr. Mayor, you may know that I sit on my porch with my guitar and I monitor traffic on summer evenings religiously, so to speak.
Well, this should be just a little out of your eye shot from your porch up to this
Well,
location.
it is, sir, but I'm a little, I don't doubt you personally, but I'm a little incredulous at the statistics. I'm pretty aware of what happens on my street. So, if I may, in conclusion, say, this seems like it'll be an ordinance or a change that will not easily be undone, and it doesn't feel to me like there's a clear rationale for doing this.
Well, so the rationale was improving the sightlines. And the comparison that you can use is if you go up Ash Street and then go right down Hudson Terrace, you'll notice as you approach the community center where there's a very similar slight bend in the road and change in elevation, we have a long-standing no parking zone all along there, just so that no car is ever in the situation where they're trapped on the wrong side of the double yellow line. That was the rationale for it.
After you pass this, we'll still be friends.
I appreciate that. But don't park there, you might get a ticket. All right, does anyone else have a comment on the establishment of the no parking zone?
I just had just wanted to, so talking about.
You want to come up to the podium? Otherwise, we won't be able to hear you.
Why don't you just put circles in, like they do in Europe?
Roundabouts?
Roundabouts. I know they're confusing to start with, but it's all, they
You know
always
what,
give, they
I
always
lived
give
in
right.
Seattle. I lived in Seattle for a couple of years, and they use arterials with roundabouts there. There's conversation about having roundabouts put in 9W. The limiting factors are typically real estate, because it takes a larger intersection footprint to make a roundabout than you can do with a four-way stop. I'm not averse to roundabouts, but that particular intersection, I don't think it's practical, because you're in the creek on one side. You're trying to make something as big as would be needed.
You'd have to take
Okay,
a piece
but they
of
do,
foundation, silt.
smaller, really smaller roundabouts. I mean, those are the roundabouts in England the size of a penny.
Well, the ones in Seattle are typically, there's a large planter in the
Yeah,
middle
that's right,
like 6
something
feet
like that,
across,
yes.
And you got to drive
yeah,
around it.
Yeah, but it slows the traffic down, and it also keeps it moving.
It is a known traffic calming device,
Yeah.
yes. Thank you. Okay, would somebody like to make a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, so that public hearing is closed, and now we have an opportunity to take action. Would someone like to make a motion to establish the new no parking zone south side of Verdun?
So moved.
Do I hear a second? I heard one over there. All in favor? Aye. Thank you. Okay, item number 9, 7:20, and I think we're still staying on schedule. Look at that, we're behind schedule. 7:20 PM, public hearing on the landscaper registry. So what this is about is, this is actually part one of a two-phase conceptual plan we're working on here. The concept was that we wanted to find a way that we could establish... Pardon?
Maybe pull the microphone a little closer.
Am I too quiet? Or are they too loud? Okay, so this landscapers registry, what this is about, the impetus for this is that we determined over a year ago that one of the things our residents were interested in was creating a ban on gas-powered leaf blowers and similar two-stroke devices. And one of the obstacles that was identified when we looked at other communities that had done this, when we talked to other municipalities that had tried to institute some sort of bans, whether they be seasonal bans or bans only for specific areas in the community, there were a bunch of problems that came up. One of the problems was that it required an excessive amount of police response to non-emergency events and created situations where there could be unnecessary escalations. And so one model we looked at was from across the river, and what they had done was established a registry of landscapers. And when creating that registry of landscapers, they required everyone who was doing landscaping work in the community to come in, sign up for that registry, and be given a packet of rules of conduct vis-a-vis landscaping in the municipality. So one of the biggest objections we heard last year about banning gas-powered leaf blowers was we have some property owners who own gas-powered leaf blowers and use them to do their own landscaping. And they felt like it was a taking in a way for us to tell them they're not allowed to use equipment that they purchased and invested in to take care of their own property. So what we came back with was, let's split this into two different animals. Let's create a registry for commercial landscapers and then create a ban for commercial use of gas-powered leaf blowers. So if you have a gas-powered leaf blower in your backyard, you can still use it. We may develop some restrictions on times. We have some time of day restrictions already on any power equipment, but we might restrict some things in the future seasonally. This does none of that. All it does is creates a registry that the building department can maintain, that they can have landscapers come in and provide their information, their proof of insurance, and their licensing information. And one of the parts of feedback that we heard about this was that there are people who have a situation where they're paying someone to do landscaping work, but they aren't really a professional landscaper. And so the way that we characterized this was, it's the neighbor's kid with the lawnmower. How do we make an exception in this legislation that allows for a neighbor to hire someone who isn't licensed and insured and take on the liability themselves under their own homeowner's insurance for whatever might happen in the course of their employ? And so this has been updated to include that caveat, and if we adopt it, we can then start working on drafting legislation to create the subsequent greenhouse gas leaf blower ban, which will likely have exemptions for the total size of the property. Charlie, you have a comment?
Just one comment, that the county has that in place already, that if it's a neighbor's kid that cuts your lawn, that's the only exception that they have for somebody not having to be licensed.
Well, and that,
County laws.
so, and that's how we handled it as well, because that was an exception circumstance we recognized some of our residents were in, and they knew they had the liability, and they didn't mind having it, and so we worked that into it. But
When you're done, Mayor, I just want
please.
a point of information. 154-47, the exemptions and exceptions, speaks to what you were just commenting about. It provides an exception for an occupant or resident of the property or a member of the immediate family of such owner, occupant, or resident, and which person or business entity is not receiving compensation, remuneration, payment, or reimbursement for such work. So technically speaking, your neighbor's college kid home for the summer that you're paying to blow your leaves, I'm not sure what leaves you'd be blowing in the summer, or mow your lawn, would not be an exception.
Would be required to register.
Would be required, because she is receiving payment for the service, and she's not a member of the immediate family of the property owner, or immediate family of the resident or occupant of the property, like a tenant who
And I
is
think,
renting.
the issue is not so much whether or not they would register, it's whether or not they would be able to provide a license and insurance, because they would not in that scenario.
Right. Right.
And that's what we were looking to say, I have no problem talking to somebody and giving them an informational packet about what they should and shouldn't be doing as a landscaper in the Village of Piermont, even if they don't have insurance. I just want to make sure that the property owner who's hiring them is not unaware of the liability created by that situation.
Okay, well, I just wanted to clarify that. The neighbor's college kid getting paid
If they get paid.
is not an exception.
Okay, well, thank you. All right, so we still have to have a public
It's
hearing.
not an exception, even if it was a family member and you were paying them.
True.
It's not an exception.
That is correct.
Seems like it might be a
So if
little
you're paying
bit.
your daughter,
Yes.
always picking on the sons,
Correct.
paying the daughter to mow the lawn, she would be
But-
subject to.
At either rate, we first need to have a public hearing. So someone would like to make a
Oh,
motion to
sorry.
open the public hearing.
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. For the public hearing, we do have Lori Leahy signed up. Would you like to come forward and comment, Lori?
And she did send an email that I forwarded to the board.
Yes.
Okay?
I'm assuming everybody did receive the email, because
Yes,
I
I
was going to
forwarded.
repeat it here. You've just clarified some things and actually made it a little less clear for me. Basically, I just wanted to, I'm Lori Leahy, 381 Furdon Avenue. I've been here for 31 years, and I've basically, for most of that time, used the same person to help me with my property. And when I read this, section 15446, paragraph A of this proposed ordinance, a human being, quote, person, is defined as a landscaping business. A human being is defined as a landscaping business. This one-line definition, I believe, is an absurd overreach. Defining a human being or a person as a landscaping business erases the obvious distinction between a private individual helping out with simple yard work with a rake and a commercial landscaping business, and they are fundamentally different. The one that I currently use is a private arrangement involving ordinary property maintenance, literally raking, planting, attending to my garden beds. And the other is a business operation involving trucks, crews, equipments, commercial infrastructure. They're not equivalent, and this is troubling to me. I'm not asking the board to abandon the registry or open a loophole. I understand why the village wants to know who's doing commercial work on local properties, but I'm asking for is a narrow common sense carve out for individuals like him who don't even fall under the definition of a neighbor's son. It's just a man with a rake. This proposal, I'm going to skip some of the things that I've already written, but I really believe that this crosses the line between legitimate community standards and unnecessary intrusion into private, harmless arrangements that affect no one but the two people involved. This is a freedom issue to me. It's my freedom, it's his freedom. And to insist that I place his name on a government registry, to me, is unthinkable. He's a man with a rake. And if the definition of gardening is just, planting beds, mulched areas, things that I don't need a whole company for. And I really don't understand it. It's punishable by a fine not exceeding $1,000, and it's enforced by the village police department. If I have this man on my property, I could be fined $1,000. I would have to, the police, this is why we pay the police to get involved with this man, and it's punishable. And there was a section here that's in total legalese that I do not understand at all. Section 3, severability. If any part of this local law or application thereof to any person or circumstance, etc., is invalid or unconstitutional, which it sounds like it is to me, by a court of competent jurisdiction. I read...
No, please finish your...
I read this over many, many times. I don't understand it because I don't understand what happens if I believe it is constitutional. This is my yard, my privacy, this man's privacy, and I don't really understand. It's scary to me. It's scary to me in this town.
I appreciate that, and I think...
And I think you know what I mean by it's frightening to me to come after a guy that's working on my property.
Well, and I think that we should make clear that the intention of this legislation is not to collect $1,000 fines from people. The idea here is to get people to come in and register. And what we were looking to do in terms of exception was, what about the scenario where somebody comes in and doesn't have a license and doesn't have insurance for the business? Should we say you're not allowed to do any landscaping work in Piermont, or should we allow them to register their information and receive the packet that we're going to prepare, letting people know things like don't put your leaves in the creek and please don't use glyphosate if you can avoid it, and you know, we have a list of things that one of our residents has actually very graciously put together for us that we would like to get into the hands of all the landscapers. So the point of this is to get information at the hands of the landscapers, not create a new revenue stream for giving people tickets for not being registered. But if there's no consequence in it, if Charlie is driving around and sees a landscaper that he's not familiar with and he asks them if they're registered or not, if there's no consequence for not being registered, he doesn't have any authority or tool to use to compel them to do that registration.
Well, obviously, I'm not going to put this man in any jeopardy, and I'm not going to force him to go register his name, telephone number, address. Obviously, he has no license to rake leaves. I think the distinction is huge, and I think it's wrong, and I think it's overreach. I think it's government overreach, what happens on my property, and it's an important issue. It's a broad issue.
Well, so the one thing that we were intending on trying to do enforcement of was the future contemplated prohibition on gas-powered leaf blowers. So if he's working on your property, but he's following all of our rules and not using a gas-powered leaf blower, I don't see any reason for a police officer or a code enforcement officer to come on your property and harass him.
I'm seeing it in writing here, and I'm not putting him at risk, because I hear your words, and I believe you. But I also see what's in writing about the definition of one person. That one-sentence definition troubles me greatly. In this country, no, you know, not just the town.
Hey, we are in strange times, I won't deny it. And I understand.
On that, the county will fine him an automatic $3,000 for that. He has to be licensed and registered to work on your property if you're a resident. It's a county law, okay? Because and I'm a sole proprietor of a construction company. I have to be licensed, insured, workers, everything. So if I go onto your property and trip and fall, I'm covered. So right now, you're exposed if that gentleman gets hurt on your property, whether he's stuck on a rake or whatever it be. So that's why the county got licenses involved, so they can make sure people were insured. So when something does happen, it doesn't fall on the homeowner that gets sued. The individual has their own insurance, which would...
May I address that? That's my risk.
It's a county law.
It's a county law? Well, then I have nothing to say here. Okay.
And we're not looking to enforce the county law. This is separate legislation that's only relevant to Piermont. And again, our intention is not to give out fines for the registry itself. It's to be able to have a means of educating landscapers, typically your larger commercial landscapers that are showing up with a truck and a trailer and a whole crew and are using whatever equipment they can use.
Then remove the line. Remove the line.
If you make it so that they can show up with one guy in a truck and the laws don't apply.
He doesn't have a truck. I pick him up and I drive him home. He's a man.
All I can say in terms of the specific legalese around that is that my understanding is that this draft was designed so that there wasn't a way that a large commercial crew could get around our exemption of if it's just one person, it doesn't count for you.
Well, then
And
it
they
is
could
what it
abuse
is.
So
Yeah,
we
okay,
needed to...
that's the answer.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lori.
Is there a possibility to carve out something for a sole proprietor so that if they're not employed by somebody else, is there something?
It becomes very unwieldy to, Nate and I struggled
We
with
went back
this
and
for a
forth on
long
this quite
time.
some time.
So let's think about the scenario. What would you say? You also have to think about the boots on the ground.
I get it,
You know, the
but
police and
realistically,
building
people
inspector.
hire a teenage kid to babysit their kids, and that kid is not licensed and registered, and if she trips on their front steps, they're liable.
Yep.
We all have people in our homes every day, and if they trip and break their leg, we're liable. So, like Lori said, I think some of this is about who we decide to engage with, right? So is the next thing a babysitter registry, where if the teenager next door watches your kid, there's a babysitter registry? I mean, I kind of feel like Yeah,
Well, if I
I
can-
don't foresee this being something that is heavily enforced. I foresee this as something which is designed to give us a way to make a differentiation between private homeowners and what they do on their property and commercial landscapers and what equipment they're allowed to use in the village. The fact that the two pieces of legislation aren't being enacted at the same time makes it perhaps a little bit more difficult to make that distinction. And
Charlie made a great point, that
it's already illegal by somebody else's law.
Rockland County requires a home improvement license with all, the whole enchilada, you know, insurance and, what else? All kinds of insurance.
Even for family members now, because too many times a family member has sued another
you're-
family member.
you're-
They made it illegal, they don't want even a family member, another family member, lost their license.
If you're a human being, it's not incorporated,
But no one likes to go into legislation.
you still need to
with
get a
the-
home improvement license.
But no one likes to draft and utilize your services to prepare legislation with the intent of not enforcing it. That's a problem.
Well, and again, the enforcement is for a specific thing
No, I
that
get it.
isn't related to this aspect. So I don't, we could not come up with a way to write this so that it
No, I know.
applied to the people that we needed it to apply to, that allowed anybody to not follow those rules based on arbitrary distinctions that could be clouded in a number of circumstances.
It all had to do with their charging. If it's a single person or it's a big business or a medium-sized business, they're charging,
The
they're making
problem, the
money.
problem is, Jeff, Kate, is that, and everyone else who's concerned about this, is, let's say you set the threshold at a business, even if it's not incorporated, just three persons, human beings, or two that want to do a bit, or, you know, they want to have a landscaping business, and they're just, you know, kids just out of college, and, you know, they have this little business they set up, but they're not incorporated or anything, they don't have insurance or anything, but they get these little mom and pop jobs.
Right.
Okay? How does, let's say we make this set off, the threshold, you have to have at least 3 or more employees or owners, or whatever. How does Charlie, how do the police, how do the boots on the ground know when they see somebody working by themselves or 2 people working together? Are they a commercial landscaping business, you know, with big, you know, big capital letters? Or are they just this 3 or less exception? It becomes impossible to administrate for the boots on the ground in particular. So there's
So if they're with a truck and big equipment.
these
it's a
sentiments are
giveaway.
definitely valid, but how do you enforce it? How do you write it and enforce it?
I think,
It's almost impossible.
well, I think Charlie brought that up at our last meeting or the one before that when he said, can we get a sticker for the truck or whatever?
Mm-hmm.
I think there was some conversation about that.
But that wasn't regarding a carve-out, that's how do we
Right.
keep a handle on how many trucks a person brings?
Because,
and
yeah,
they
because
get stickers.
realistically then, enforcement requires Charlie to stop and ask anybody with a rake.
Right.
If they're licensed.
That's true.
And then cross-check a registry.
That's a good point.
So,
Listen, I have a guy too.
look, we all.
He's all about, he's the only person I can find, the big businesses won't weed. I got tons of weeds. He's the only one I can find who will weed. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful human being. Comes to my house by himself. I
And you
never
take on-
asked him, he might have a home improvement license through the county of Rockland, I have no clue. My guess
You've
is he
never asked
doesn't.
them for insurance.
I never asked him for
assuming that
insurance.
you take the
Yeah,
liability
and that's
on
the
it.
risk I take.
And yeah, I just,
He could get hurt on my property and
And people take those risks with babysitters or people who
Right.
clean their homes or
and yes,
people
we are
who
not having a
attend to their
babysitter
elderly
registry.
parents.
They do
And-
not use gas-powered leaf blowers.
Right.
That's, I just keep trying to bring this back to the gas-powered leaf blowers thing, because
that's the
really,
purpose.
the purpose of this is to be able to have a differential prohibition on the operation of gas-powered leaf blowers that makes a difference between property owners on their own property and commercial businesses who are making money and perhaps creating liability. And so, in order to get there, we need to have this, and I understand that there is some language in here that may sound somewhat menacing, depending on how you're looking at it, but I can assure you that it will not be this board's directive to the police or to the code enforcement officers to try to be giving out $1,000 fines to people with rakes. It's not in anyone's interest. The purpose is to make sure that they're aware of what is appropriate for them to be doing in terms of landscaping in the village of Piermont.
May I just speak to that? I just want to say that means somebody's going to look away, but I know I'll be breaking the law, and I will be encouraging somebody to break the law And I'm a law-abiding citizen, and this is a ridiculous law, even if it's meant to jump to the next phase for leaf blowers.
But as Charlie just told you, you're already breaking the law. The county requires this. This
It's
is
a
not,
county law, not a local law. We
yeah,
have
it's
to-
not our law.
You're not breaking the law. Your
landscape.
guy, like my guy, maybe.
I never put anybody at risk.
No, your gentleman needs to have a license from the county of Rockland, a home improvement license. So if he doesn't have that license, he, not you, he is already breaking the law. That's what the mayor is trying to say.
Not our law, but
I said the
a
county of
law.
Rockland,
Yeah,
the county of
a-
Rockland.
I just think from an enforcement perspective, if Charlie is not talking to everybody that he sees performing these functions, there's no way for him to check a registry and enforce this law. So I just don't see that as being a
Well,
tenable situation.
So this is the way I foresee it playing out, is it isn't Charlie looking for landscapers to ask them if they're registered. It's Charlie seeing landscapers using gas-powered leaf blowers,
Responding to complaints.
coming in contact
Responding
with
to
them for the
complaints.
purposes of code enforcement, and then saying, oh, you didn't know? Well, you need to register, and we will give you the information, and you will sign a form saying, I acknowledge receipt of these rules that apply to the business I'll operate in Piermont. I'm not allowed to use the gas-powered leaf blower.
Right. But again, so registering a complaint. Let's say Lori's delightful current neighbors move out of town, and the worst person in the world moves in next to her, and then calls and says, I don't think that guy, pulling Lori's weeds is on the registry. And that becomes about all kinds of other things.
Well, it doesn't need to be. I mean, the fact of the matter is that this gentleman could register and just be on record as not having a license and not having insurance. He may not want to do that. He may not want to document the situation that is currently already illegal.
Call the county now and get them fined.
That's the thing. If it's a bad neighbor, since it's already against another law, we aren't making that any worse by saying we also are trying to manage landscapers in the village. But to say we can't try to manage landscapers in the village because there may be an exception circumstance that is problematic, where in the majority it works, you can't do anything.
Can we, I don't think Lori's situation is that isolated. I would
No,
think
there's plenty of
it's a
people.
lot. Is there a way we could either have an exclusion or a waiver or something on a per case basis where they would come in?
Can I just add one thing to that? So I know one of the things we have encouraged and other people have encouraged is if you have an elderly neighbor, shovel their walk. So this would also say then that I couldn't go shovel my neighbor's walk because I'm not a family member.
And not charge
I'm
for it, no,
licensed.
and not charge for it. Then you
If you
could.
do it
Presumably,
out of
you're
the
doing
kindness
that
of
out
your
of the
heart.
kindness of your heart.
For free, you could do it. This is regarding paying somebody.
You have to also be paid.
So, we've got the
That's why it
criteria.
becomes a business.
Dennis brought up the
In
criteria.
terms of your question, could there be some kind of waiver? That is, in fact, what I envisioned happening as an ministerial thing in the building department. Somebody comes in and
Right.
says, they told me I have to register, but I don't have this and I don't have that. Take whatever information they have and say, here, sign this that
Right.
says that the people that you're doing business with know you don't have any liability insurance, and they're owning that liability. If people are willing to do
Well,
that.
no, the homeowner should be the one coming in and
Well, this is
acknowledge
fair, yes.
that they
This-
don't,
this-
we know they don't have insurance, we want to hire them, and there's an exclusion.
It's
Comp.
Yeah, it could be
Right.
pursued by
Well,
the county.
either way, could that be a potential where the homeowner, together with this individual or two people who are running this for-profit business of mowing lawns and doing things, but they're not fully insured, fully licensed in a big operation, to come in, see Charlie, whoever is holding the registry, sign up,
I think
give them
it
the
would
information,
I
and
think
there's
it
a
would be
waiver or an
appropriate to get a
exclusion.
waiver, except that waiver is not any protection from the existing
No,
county law.
we understand that, and people will be, aware of that. You could even put that in your request for an exemption.
What if-
You know, this only has to do with village
The
enforcement.
language would have to be, we'd have to obviously keep this public hearing open. I would propose, whoever is most ambitious here on the board, Jeff, to
Yeah.
draft a waiver provision. We could
Sure.
add an additional paragraph where
That's
the
fine.
building department, I would assign the building department to be the entity, the agency, to
Right.
determine whether or not a waiver is appropriate. Unless you guys want to keep that control, that's up to you.
No, I think you brought up something, too.
No, I'm saying, someone would have to grant the waiver. Do you want it to be the village
I
board of
understand.
trustees, or you want it to be the
Something
building
inspector
inspector?
can do, he issues building
All right,
permits,
so
he
why
can do
don't you
that.
draft up
Right,
something?
Charlie, you're willing to do
Why
that?
not just have a registry of people that commercially use leaf blowers.
County has a rule, I ain't breaking.
No, this isn't,
Right.
Well, because they just won't tell the truth, and also because unlike contractors in the Village of Piermont right now, there is no verification done for the residents of having insurance or licenses. Because if you're doing a building project, you have to come and get a building permit. The building department takes all your information down and verifies it. No permits required for landscaping work. So all these guys come in and out of town, and we have no idea if they are licensed and insured. And that, it's not necessarily the village's job to make sure that that's the case, but one of the benefits of instituting this process is that we hope to reduce the number of large-scale, commercial, unlicensed, and uninsured landscapers working in the Village of Piermont.
But what if the opposite thing happens? What if a large landscaper foils the list from Charlie and sees these are all the people that are not licensed, cross-checks with the county, and then sticks the
Picking my
county on all
business.
these people and their homeowners, and then these people are like, I don't want to work in Piermont anymore, and then all of these homeowners have to deal with a monopoly of a landscaping firm.
and then you place Charlie in a situation which he just brought up, in my ignorance, when I asked him if he's gonna be the registrar and he's gonna be the one issuing an exclusions or exceptions.
No,
You're
it's
bound
actually
to
gonna be through the
enforce
village
county
clerk
code if
office.
you see there's a violation.
I think it's village clerk.
So if someone goes to them and says, I don't have insurance, and, here's a
it's
waiver
a
from
mandated
village
report.
law, he's mandated.
It's mandated report.
Right, so now we got a
The
problem.
village clerk is going to be the, what's the word, for the clearinghouse. The application is submitted through the village clerk's office. The building inspector will determine the prospective waiver if this is something we're going to adopt, the waiver exception. And the building inspector will review the insurance that's already in.
No, I understand that, but for
So they
that,
both.
for the carve-out
They
though,
both, he can't.
No,
do
no,
it.
but so Kate's brought up another issue that I'm not sure how to address. So essentially, it's the big brother concern of if we compile a list of people who are doing landscaping work in the Village of Piermont, and it documents that some of them are not in compliance with the county legislation.
Right.
They would be at risk of any individual who wanted to harm their, business or way of life.
yeah, you're competing with
reporting.
me and I gotta pay for insurance
Right, you
and
could
a license
play
and you
dirty
don't.
pool like that. But I don't know how to get around that. So the first issue was, well, a person doesn't have insurance, so they're not going to be able to register. Okay, well, what if we let them register without insurance? Now, the second issue is now they've documented criminal activity that they are engaging in actively, and that
And
puts them at some liability.
Right,
But
and then we place
my
Charlie in a
confusion is,
tough spot.
so what we're doing now is holding back on legislating something, what we're discussing, an approach to legislating something, and one of our concerns is protecting people who are not in compliance with the law and putting our residents at risk because they don't have insurance. That's kind of a hard pill to swallow for me. Like, I understand trying to find exemptions where it is a situation like the neighbor's kid, or if it's a long time, person that you've worked with, and I feel like there ought to be some wiggle room for that, but I also feel like us being concerned about what happens to people who are not in compliance with the law in what they're doing professionally shouldn't be a major factor in our decision. Just seems not quite right-headed. But how about this? Why don't we leave the public hearing open, and why don't we go back and look at language about potential waivers and further discuss what other scenario edge cases might be problematic but before we actually have a vote on this. So what we can do right now is, it's not close the public hearing, it's like pause the public hearing.
We're going to keep the public hearing open.
Great.
So Jennifer, it would be a motion to keep the public hearing open. It's up to you, but you need to set a specific date, so you don't have to republish the notice of public hearing.
Keep it open until our next meeting if we have time.
Which is September 1st.
Is that enough time? Yeah, I think it is. Yeah. So
September
let's-
1st.
I'm going to comment on
Can we do it to the one after that? Because Jeff, I'm going to relieve you. I think I know what,
Okay.
I
If you
think I
need
know
help,
what
let me
some
know.
people want, and I'll put together some language. I'll circulate amongst the village board before I carve it into stone. So, Jeff, I'll do the drafting, all right? But September 1st might be a little
But
tight.
Laura, you
It's
understand,
still-
we're trying to figure out here, and it becomes more complex the more we delve into this.
And I appreciate your consideration.
So for September 15th, so.
You know?
But Dennis, did you just say you would like to do it the 15th?
I mean, because I know I got some things that are.
I mean, I'm not, no
tying
objection,
me
I'm
up,
just
so,
trying to, like, I wrote down the 1st. I'm
yeah,
changing it to the
15th. If
15th.
that's okay with you,
It's okay with me.
So
Does-
Need a
the
motion to
public
keep it
hearing
open?
for landscaper registry will continue and remain open and be reviewed again by the Village Board of Trustees on September 15, 2026, 7 o'clock. No, what do you want, what time? What time?
7:10?
7:10 PM?
Yeah.
So before we close the public,
Well,
we're not
closing
closing
it.
it, before we keep it open until the next meeting, does anybody have anything else they'd like to say on this topic? All right, so
somebody in the
please
back.
come forward. And Steve, I see you back there as well. I'm sorry.
First of all, as a long-term business owner, you should never have anybody on your property who's not insured for workman's comp. So I don't know if they're a friend or anything else like that. If they're a friend, if they fell over having a cup of tea, then they would sue you on your liability clause. And you've got to make sure you've got good liability if you've got a pool in there and you've got other bits and pieces in there. But you never let anybody on your property who's not covered by workman's comp. So that makes it cut and dried. And then you just have an ordinance which just says landscaping between 8 and 5 every day, but finishes at 2 o'clock on a Friday, and nothing on Saturday and Sunday. And that's the end of it.
We do have some of that, yes, thank you. Steve, would you come forward, please?
Steve Palkovic, 66 Air Street.
How you doing?
I was just wondering, is this going to go for people who volunteer to do things, like cut grass around the town and...
That would be an exception because they're not being paid. You
Right,
have
that's
to-
the
you
whole
have-
thing, not getting
being
paid,
paid.
right?
If you're not being paid, you're not subject to this law.
And also if you're just working on your own property.
You know, because I've done things around the town that volunteer, you know?
If you're not being
But I'm
paid,
not a
you don't need a
licensed
license.
contractor
Or
or...
insurance.
That is not an issue, that's why there is that specific carve-out in it, but it does have the, exception. If you are getting paid, then you do count as a landscaper. So
All
as
right.
long as you're volunteering, no problem.
Thank you.
Okay, all right, moving on to item 11. Next, we have a resolution to accept $10,000 in Rockland County Stop DWI funds for the Paramount Police Department 2027 impaired driving enforcement overtime. And these are the funds for the program that you were mentioning would be occurring in the next few weeks, correct? Okay, would someone like to make a motion to resolve to accept that? So moved. Do I hear a second? Second. All in favor? Aye. Item 12, resolution for the Paramount Justice Court to apply for a $17,610.64 JCAP grant to purchase 3 new lecterns for Paramount Village Hall Justice Court. Would someone like to make a motion to resolve to apply for that grant? Did he specify what the match was? Is it a 100%?
It's 100%
It's
the grant, there's no
100%, okay.
match.
What do they look like?
I don't know, they look
Oh,
like lecterns.
on the attachment that I sent, he had the wood samples and,
What are they, just podiums?
yeah, let me just see, I have it here.
Sorry, John.
Here it is.
To be used by plaintiffs and defendants, or what?
I guess, I don't know. Whoever
Yes.
uses it.
Number 10 has been struck because that actually was intended for the planning board meeting.
Okay, here.
You have a picture?
Do we get rid of the old ones that are here?
Well, I only have a picture of the wood. He didn't, I don't have the actual
Well, and
lectern.
an application for a grant is not necessarily
For those
receiving the grant.
Right.
So we don't know if we're going to get it. This is just
Yeah, I
to
just-
authorize him to sign to apply.
I just want
Yeah.
to make sure if it sails through the system, we get what we want.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Okay, so would someone like to make that resolution?
So moved.
Do I hear a second? All in favor? Aye. Okay, item 13, resolution for the mayor to sign a donation and transfer agreement between the HOA of Paramount Landing and the Village of Paramount to receive 18 decorative planters. So this was a request that came in a month or so, maybe 2 months ago, from the homeowners association that the village go in and remove from parking lot D planters that were purchased for a project that ended up being impossible to actually accomplish, and they've just been like in dead storage in the corner of lot D for the last couple of years. So I went around with Tommy from the DPW trying to identify locations that we could use these and place them in town. We have found one location at the top of First Street on the Erie Path where we currently have 3 or 4 mafia blocks that were put there to divert stormwater away from going right down First Street. And it looks like we can use 3 or 4 of these planters in place of those mafia blocks, accomplish the same goal, and make it look significantly better. But that still leaves over a dozen of them out of the 18 that we don't have locations for. And I discussed with Tommy in the interim to finding places to utilize them. We can put them in the Ohio Street lot and just store them for a while. So there was a contractual agreement that was presented by the Homeowners Association requesting my signature on taking possession of those and making them get transported in a prompt manner. And so I'm asking for this board to give me a resolution to sign that donation and transfer agreement. Somebody like to make a motion to do that?
Sure, so moved.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Number 14, reviewed request for a 30-day waiver for Northern Comfort Hospitality Group LLC, DBA NoCo Joe's, located at 5 Roundhouse Road. So this is related to a liquor license, and there was some sort of things got crossed in the mail, were sent to the wrong address. Unless there is some kind of an open problem with a business establishment when they apply for a liquor license, we typically waive the 30-day waiting period that we could require of them if we needed to. I don't personally have any reason to object to waiving the 30-day notice for NoCos. Does anyone have any concerns or questions about waiving the 30-day waiver?
I did have some concerns initially, only because we had received some noise complaints about doors that were supposed to be closed, being open, left open. And it seems, after speaking to some people, that that problem has resolved itself. I understand he understands now that he has a special permit to operate, and there are certain requirements that he has to comply with in that special permit. So I no longer have any reservations, but there were initially, and I'm just happy to report that things seem to have improved, just like they did with Trotters.
That is the feedback that I have been getting as well. So would you like a motion to, would you like to make a motion to waive the 30 day? Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Item 15, request from Tappan Zee High School to obtain a permit to host a bonfire on the Piermont Pier in September. Is there someone here to speak to this? This is something I'd really like to review with the fire department before we make, I really need to know where, how big, for what amount of time.
Who's gonna clean it up?
Who's going to clean it up? If this is going to be, if it's going to be after 9 p.m. when the park is closed, that's a problem too. That would require police presence. So
The fire department's got to monitor the whole time.
yeah, we got to keep a truck out there with the whole crew.
Right.
I have objections. I think, Chief Goswick said that if a fire ever got started in the reeds, it'd be very hard to control.
Oh yeah, no, wind-driven fire and the range
Why
is a
would
nightmare.
we take a chance with burning down a whole?
Well, we do host a bonfire for Memorial Day
Day.
out there.
And
So we
that's-
have a location that's relatively safe, that theoretically, there might be a way to do this and not have it be an issue. It would have the impact, though, in terms of police presence being required
Right.
and also fire department presence being required.
The danger, I think, would be insignificant compared to a Memorial Day fire watch. I mean, that's a huge
But we
bonfire.
have everybody's attention, we have the fire department.
No, absolutely, that's the issues. I don't think danger is an
I
issue.
certainly wouldn't want your house to get burned
No.
down by the fire.
No, either would I.
Yeah.
Well, so why don't I make the suggestion that we table this and push it to a future meeting while we do some research and find out more about what would be involved?
Yeah,
Sound
that's a good plan.
Okay?
And they should be here for it.
Yeah, I really need to talk to somebody. So,
They should provide some type of,
Insurance.
like layout, like a little plan,
Yeah.
hand-drawn, and
Well, they're saying they can't do it on the campus anymore because there's too many buildings.
Yeah, but they should provide some dimensions, how high is it gonna be, you know.
Yes. And some of those things are not ones that are necessarily plannable. Like, how high is the wind on the evening of the
No,
bonfire?
the wood structure, you know, because
Yes.
obviously, the more wood, the bigger the fire generally. Obviously, wind affects it as well, as you know.
Out at the end of the pier, it's very exposed to wind. It is enormously impactful on it. So do we need to have a resolution to table it, or can we just table it?
No, we can just move it to another agenda.
Just move it to the
So
next
you want to move it
agenda.
to the September 1st?
Yeah, well, September 1st might be enough time.
Yeah.
And then item 16 is review letter from the Historical Society of Rockland County and the Piermont Historical Society for the upcoming house tour and walking tour, Saturday, October 3rd, 2026, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Does anyone have any questions or concerns about the walking tour?
You're talking, Dan, about expanding it from Tapan to the historic district?
Yes, the route just starts at the Christ Church in Sparkill. That's the sign-in table. There's restrooms there, and that church is also the first one on the tour. The booklet will look like this, and on the back will be a checklist, and the captain at each of the 13 properties checks people off as they go. So you can go anywhere you want, but you start at the Christ Church. Then the next one in the numbering system is the AME Church, and then Ferdinand Hall with Walter and Paolo's house, and then PJ Mucan's, and then we kept everything. I didn't really make the route, but we kept everything along the creek that includes the drawbridge, the mine hole, what we call the oldest house, the Freedom House, a couple in that area, and the train station. Nothing in the village itself. People are welcome to go for lunch, but we didn't want to interfere with traffic or parking or anything, so they didn't pick that. And then the last one is the Sacred Heart Chapel, the Dominican. I've never been there, so I guess I'll go. I'm not sure why it's kind of out of the thing, but somebody volunteered and they accepted it. So we've had weekly Zoom meetings with Claire Sheridan and Barbara Schulin and Michael and myself. And she's very organized. I was on the one in Tapan last year. There's lots of captains, lots of docents. The thing's very organized. They watch the parking. They direct everybody. So they take care of everything, really, and they kept it right out of the village. So the nearest thing in the village will be the drawbridge and the Tapan Indian sign. That'll be that site. But people come in 2s and 3s in cars, so we'll be watching it. I won't be. I'll be at the Christ Church. But
Are you looking
is
into
there anything
expanding
about...
the locations?
Pardon me?
Are you looking into expanding the locations? I only saw like 3 or 4 on the letter.
I think it's pretty set. The deadline that Claire set was the end of July, because they need to prepare a brochure that goes to print on the 15th of September.
So right now, we're looking at, what, 3 or 4 in the village?
Yeah, there's the one
mine hole, the bridge.
mostly from the drawbridge to the Rockland Road Bridge, along in there.
Right. Okay.
She worked hard in canvassing a number, and this is what they got signed letters for. So Jennifer, does the letter that needs to be signed by the village, I didn't really understand the exact nature of it. It's just permission, because they're public spaces, they're not private and public spaces. So what are we looking to get? Is the letter signed?
So, from what I saw initially, she had wanted to know if the mayor wanted to participate in a paragraph.
An announcement.
As like,
Statement.
you know, for the people taking the tour.
Yeah.
And-
Welcome to Piermont.
And then after that, I'm not sure, other than making the village board aware of that this was going on.
I think that's really it. The private properties needed to sign contracts.
Right, but
And
that
the
was through,
churches.
with Claire, not with
Right.
the village.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
Okay, I'm happy to work on making a welcome to Piermont statement that could be included in that, and I don't think anyone has any concerns about the event occurring on the 3rd, so good luck with it.
all right. And this is the flyer and the sales. I'll leave this one.
Oh, Beckerly's the sponsor? Nice.
Thank you.
There's a reception the night before at the Christ Church Parish House with all the captains and docents and homeowners, and they all get to go on the tour themselves the next day, half the day, and every homeowner gets a half-page ad and all kinds of freebies. So, anyway.
Terrific. Thank you very much, Dan.
And they're reminding the board of the concert coming up, the pop concert on the 13th, 4:30. It's free, sponsored by the Piermont Historical Society. It's the Glen. No, it's Americana, old Americana theme music.
Thank you for
By the
clarifying. I actually was
Glen
confused
Rock.
when I read the poster.
Thank you, Dan.
Awesome. Okay, item 17, we made it. Would someone like to make a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Do I hear a second? All in favor?
I got
Thank you.
Mike and,
Mike.
yeah.
Thank you,
Jeff
everyone.
could have.
No, Michael and Mark.
Mike and Mark, okay. And it is 8:13.
Jennifer, for September 15th, you don't have to republish or anything.
No, I understand, I know. It's just, it's an open public hearing that's just being
As long as we
continued.
make that announcement.
Yeah.
We're good. You don't need to do anything.
Doesn't the Nike airspace